Hello everyone, and coming at you with my Counter Fairies deck profile. Now this is a Go First Counter Fairy deck, and it's not the Card of Demise variant, so keep that in mind. Another thing I would say, I would like to return the side section into my profiles, but it's depend on you guys if you think it will be good enough to return. If you do not want me to return this section of the video, I will not do that as well. Another thing, I will going to leave in the description down below my Facebook page and might even my Twitter page if I'll be able to open up, quickly. As well, Jim, like I told you guys, I'm working on an intro and improving the video quality on the channel. And one thing, if you want to follow me on other social media, you can actually, I'm thinking about it, but I might actually leave my Hearthstone battle tag, so you can just play with me whenever I'm playing, like I'm entering the game one in 2 to 3 days to clean some missions. So if you guys would like to play with me then I'll be very, very happy, but we'll see about that. But without further ado, this is my Counter Fairy deck profile. Like I said, the not Demise variant, because I do not have Counter Demise. So starting things off, you want to run 2 copies of Sacred Arc Air Knight Pershaft. Sorry, I just got stuck with the Arc. But I just want you guys, I want to try to read the names as much accurate as possible, because I just don't want to get I told you English is not my first language, but I'm trying to get accurate as much as possible. And as you can see, I also have a misprint Arc Air Knight Pershaft. So I don't know if that is a common thing, but I'm getting some of those lately, so that's really cool. Kind of weird, but also pretty cool. Anyway, Arc Air Knight Pershaft is basically your boss monster of the deck. It kinda clogs when you open up with it, but because it's not a Card Demise variant, you have a little less of a chance seeing it, so you want to run 2 of it, because you still need it. So every single time a counter trap or effects that negate an activation of spell trap card or a monster effect is activated, negate them, and if a counter trap is activated, you can banish 2 fairies from your hand or field or graveyard, special summon this card from your graveyard if it was there when you activated the effect, or hand, of course. Even if not, if this card attack a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent, and then if this card inflict battle damage to your opponent, then you get to search a Pershaft card or a counter card. So this is a really, really good card. Being able to search for your combo pieces and just being able to do it, it's really cool. A boss monster. I wish it was a level 8, because that means that you can use it for trading target, but whatever, this is just a cool monster in my opinion. Next up, because I'm saying we're not playing the Demise variant, I'm running triple copies of Power Angel Valkyria. If you play the Demise variant, you have the easiest chance to get to your other combo pieces, so I would not recommend to play it more than one, but because it's not the Demise one, and this is the Going First not Demise, I would recommend to play 3 of her, because you want to see a fairy monster level 4 as soon as possible, as well as she have the ability when you negate, of course, like an activation of a spell trap and a monster effect, you get to add a light fairy from your deck to your hand. Of course, you can only use this effect once per turn, but it's really good as well. Next up, because once again, this is not the Demise variant, you're only running 2, Minerva Scholar of the Sky. This card, she have the ability to gain 500 attack for each and every time the counter trap is activated, so she can become really, really big. The other effect is, if you have the Sanctuary in the Sky on the field, she gain the ability to give you a counter trap other than the one that you use to get it back to your hand. So it's really, really cool. Only 2 of her though. Like I said, the Demise variant might want to run her at 3 because you want to see her as soon as possible, but this variant does not, in my opinion. Next up, we'll move on to more standard Counter Fairy stuff, so I'm running triple copies of Guardian Ariadne. This card finally have a good support to run with it, because this card is just so amazing, making 100% sure you would not pay life points for your counter traps, as well as not discarding card for counter traps is really amazing. And you can also use this effect when she get destroyed, to reveal 3 counter trap to your opponent, and then he pick one of them and add them to your hand. Which, to complement that, we're also running double copies of Lester Pendulum's Dragoslayer. Now, this is actually a text that I thought of myself, but I wasn't, once again, 100% sure about it, so I kind of went to YouTube to see if it's good enough, and yeah, there are a lot of YouTubers that are actually using this. I'm not 100% sure if I like this, because that it can get cloggy if you do not open it with Guiding Ariadne, but I don't know, it's still doing a lot of job, and being able to just like make 100% sure that like you can open up with other cards, it's really, really cool. So 2 copies of Dragon Slayer is really, really nice, and it's also a tuner option to go to Ignister or anything that you prefer. And that's pretty much it for the Pendulum section. For the last copies of the cards in the deck, I'm running 3 copies of Bountiful Artemis, because Bountiful Artemis is just activate a counter, draw a card. Simple as that. Just so amazing. You can just set 3 counters, even if you just open it with one of her, and then just reset your hand, which is pretty awesome. 2 copies of Honest, because this is just a battle hand trap to protect your monsters, which is really, really cool. I am considering maybe cutting it down to 1 and then running 1, what do you call the Heaven statue? I don't remember. Barrier Statue of the Heaven, yeah. Barrier Statue of the Heavens, I just don't own one, but if you own one, I might actually recommend to cut one of the monsters, and especially Honest, and then run 1 Barrier of Statue. And then if you have this, pretty much summon your Dead Honest and your Barrier of Statue, and then just pretty much lock your opponent. And then 1 copy of Mental, because Mental is just gaining life points if you don't control a Sanctuary in the Sky. And if you don't have Guardian Ariadne, this card can become really, really in clutch, making 100% sure that your counter trap kind of like don't cost so much. And when you do have Sanctuary in the Sky on the field, you get to destroy a face-up card your opponent control. I think it's face-up card. No, destroy 1 card your opponent control. I think it's not supposed to be face up, but regardless. That pretty much does it for the monsters. I believe that's 18 monsters. I don't run any of Eva or whatever, not even the Sidon whatever, because I don't believe she's really good Eva, but you can tell me in the description down below how good you think Eva is. I just don't like her so much. Next up for the spells, we run 3 copies of Sanctum of Pershaf. This card is awesome. Like, this card just does everything for the deck. Being able to just, you know, count it as a Sanctuary in the Sky is amazing. Being able to just set up the top 3 cards of your deck in any order, so Bountiful Artemis can get you the draws that you need after you, like, you know, set different names from the graveyard. And being able to just protect your counter traps is also amazing, so all the set cards are not dead. And also being able to give your counter fairies 300 attack and defense to make him a lot more bulkier. This card is pretty good. While I'm not saying it's super amazing, his effects are really good. Next up, 3 copies of Tides of the Brethren. Pretty much makes sense, because this card deck is all light fairies, level 4s, except from Pershaf, of course, and Dragon Slayer, but most of them are light fairies, and this one just help you establish a pretty okay board, and because of that, you want to run 3 of it. Next up, 2 Pot of Desires, because Pot of Desires is really important in the deck. You don't have any other draw power in the deck and anything to see your combo pieces, and this is pretty much going to get me to another subject, but we'll talk about that in a sec. This card is pretty much a +1 in this deck. When a deck like this, that mostly focused on resources in its hand, not resources in its deck, but have tons of, like, multiple of the cards, I don't think Desires hurts. But when decks that have, like, tons of the you know, the resources, but need them to late game, and they do not, like, you know, need Pot of Desires, and people adding Desires, in my opinion, is pretty dumb. For example, Pendulum Magician don't need this, people add this. Blue Eyes don't need this, people add this. DDDs need this, people add this, and that's fine. Weather Painters, people add this, that is fine. But decks that do not need this, I don't understand why people add it, because it's really high risk, high reward card, and sometimes it just doesn't work fit, in my opinion. But, like, most of the time, I would say that if I'm running Desires is because I don't have any other way to deal with it. It's pretty much a fantastic card for some decks, but sometimes people just abuse it way too much, in my opinion. Anyway, 1 copy of Upstart Goblin to be our last copy of card, because 39 decks consistency, and if you banish it with Desires, it's pretty much nothing for you. You just skip a card that does absolutely nothing for you. Also, Desires is just, I don't run 3 because I don't want to see more than 1 in a game, in my opinion. If I'm seeing 2, that means that I'm losing. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the spells. 9 spells. Now we'll move on for the traps. So first off, for the traps, I'm running 3 copies of Rebirth of Pershaf, because this card is counter trap is amazing, especially with Guiding Ariadne. You only need to keep 1 counter trap in your hand, and that counter trap, if you don't have Guiding Ariadne, could be your discarding fodder, because sometimes we have counter traps that work only with a Sanctuary in the Sky, so we can use those, and then also be used for what her name is, Minerva effect, which is really, really cool. And then when you do that, you resolve this card, you get to special summon a Pershaf monster from your deck or extra deck. I do not have a Pershaf in my extra deck, but if you do have the synchro monster, I would recommend to run it once or twice, which is really, really cool. Next up, 2 copies of Divine Punishment. Like I said, this is not a Demise variant, so I don't believe you want to run more than 2 of this card, because it's so cloggy and you don't have a ways to search your, Sanctuary in the Sky, and just a really nice discard fodder, or just a card to sit on when you have your Rebirth of Pershaf. I might actually even consider cutting this card to 1, because it does absolutely nothing for me, but we'll see about that. 2 copies of Ultimate Providence are again a really amazing counter trap, being able to just negate the same type of a card by discarding the same type, but if you have Guiding Ariadne you don't have to do it. It's pretty awesome. Next up, 2 Drastic Drop-Off, because you can just negate the searches of monsters. Not really negate, but like getting rid of your opponent's searches. Cards that's really important. For example, Trickstar, Light Stage, searching up for Candina, and then Candina is really important for Trickstars. Get rid of it, or something like that. Or even get rid of the Likers. Like, just getting rid of the cards that are pretty much adding to their hand. You can even just use it during the draw phase, but are less recommending it. Next up, you want 3 copies of Solemn Strike and 1 copy of Solemn Warning. Probably the best card in the deck. I don't have Solemn Judgment, but I would recommend to run Solemn Judgment. Probably the best cards in the deck, because they don't have any requirements except life points, and you have Mental to recover life points, and they're pretty much holding up your opponent until you do get your combo pieces. So in my opinion, maximize on Solemn Strike and Solemn Warning is the most important thing in the deck, but you can disagree with me and tell me that like those are not the best counter traps and I should run only 2, but in my opinion, they're pretty much help the deck. And that pretty much does it for the main deck. Now we'll move on to the side deck. Like I told you guys, this is just once a thing. If you want me to continue that, please leave it in the comments down below. So first off, 2 copies of Gamma Seal, because Gamma Seal is just a nice kaiju. I'm not 100% sure if I need a kaiju in this deck, but I just citing it if I need it. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Winter Cherries, just because this card is just, well, it's Winter Cherries, an amazing card. You want to run this card at 2. If I had a third one, I would run it like immediately, because this card just, you have so much targets in the side deck, you have so much space, you can get rid of a lot of annoying monsters that your opponent has. 2 Ghost Ogre, because Ghost Ogre is an amazing card as well, and being able to run this is pretty cool. Triple of, Budget Ash, just because this card can just stop any annoying monster effects, which is really amazing as well. While not stopping all the searches, it does stop monster effects, which can be really crucial and really important. Also, I do not run other traps in the side, because I don't feel like this deck need any more traps, because it's either going first or other disrupting your opponent and just breaking their board. And then 1 copy of Raigeki, 1 copy of Dark Hole to deal up with annoying Baguskas or whatever, and just like killing your opponent board, and then 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon, and then the 1 copy of Hey Trunade, which in my opinion will become a staple if we're going to more trap format, because you can just toss all of your opponent's set cards and make 100% sure to get over those Torrentals. The reason behind 3 MSTs and not a Cosmic Cyclone is because this deck already have a lot of life points to pay, and I rather like, this is just good going second, so I'm just popping a card and that's it. Like, I don't care about anything else. And Twin Twister is way too much discarding, so in my opinion, Mystical Space Typhoon is the best option. But if you think like Twin Twister or Cosmic Cyclone is better option, please leave it in the comments down below and just tell me why you think that is better. Even though I'm thinking sometimes it's a little bit of bad, because it's leave you with less life points if you don't see your combo pieces. Next up for extra deck, 1 copy of King of All Calamities. Almost never make this card, but when I make this card, this is just pretty much game. So like I get 1 per shaft, and then let's just say I search for the other one, counter another one, then banish 2 other cards, summon another one, exceed 7, bring out this card. This is really cool. I'm actually considering cutting this card, but when I do make it, it's to win games. 1 copy of Utopia if you also have Lightning Run Lightning, but this is pretty much a Cherries target to get rid of, like, you know, Utopia the Lightning Engine. 1 copy of Time Star Magician. In my opinion, it's supposed to be Electrum, but I don't have Electrum. 1 Baguska because it's Baguska and you can also target this card. Oh, sorry about that. 1 copy of Castell because it's, again, another really good card and you can target. 1 copy of Minerva because you can target this card, and it's also a light fairy, which is really working with synergy, and it's also have another nice effect by milling the top 3 cards of your deck. So if you have your Sanctum of Pershaf, you can basically mill the top 3 cards of your deck and then just put them in any order that you want. So for example, let's just say you have like a Solemn Strike, Solemn Warning, and like, you know, a fairy monster, you can make 100% sure that you draw your counters before you do anything else. So that's pretty cool in my opinion. Next up, also 1 copy of Totally Awesome because you want to deal with annoying Paleos, and that pretty much does it for the Xyz. Now on for the fusions that I'm running as a target, I'm running only 2, which is Mikaba and Gem Knight Seraphonite because, you know, it's just really cool. And then I'm also running for Synchro target, 1 Ignister and 1 copy of Omega. Again, 2 really good Synchro monster. And this one you can make legit, really hard, but you can make it legit, so that's really cool as well. And then 1 copy of Curious, 1 copy of Decon Talker, 1 copy of Trigate Wizard, which is supposed to be double Helix, and 1 copy of Akashic Magician. Those are the Link monsters that I'm seeing the most. I might actually cut this through Borreload because I can make Borreload and just in general, just better option to maybe target. But regardless, those are the monsters I decided to target for Links. And that pretty much does it for the extra deck as well, and does it for this Counter Fairy deck profile. A little bit longer than usual, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, and don't forget to follow me on social media if you can. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and until next time, take care.